Hi everybody, it's Laura Kingen. Here we go. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a live demo, so what I want to do today is pull everything together that I've been working on really since July in this crazy year of 2020. I've been doing basically weekly live demos since about 4th of July. I did take a couple weeks off around Thanksgiving. I think that election stress, I was really feeling it. I don't know how much all of you are. Obviously we all are. The amount of death and the political conflicts and all. It's been challenging, and I can admit that. Having said that, I do intend to continue these live demos. So my intention with today is to put in a nutshell, put an overview together of the videos that I've done, because I feel like what I've been attempting to do with these live demos to date is to kind of lay a foundation, put a catalog together of the work that I intend to do, that is my background, and then to share that with you, as well as to develop a catalog online for people to reference. Because I'm trained as an occupational therapist. I actually became a registered occupational therapist in 1983. I have a background in psychiatric health work. I worked at St. Luke's Behavioral Health Center in Phoenix, Arizona for, I don't know, about 12, 13 years. Matter of fact, I even ran my first business out of a space at that hospital. And that was a sensory-oriented business. They had a great sensory integrative room there. I also have had mental health issues in my family, and I just see blatant mental health issues all around. And the last 17 or so years, I have worked for the Arizona Division of Developmental Disabilities, working in individuals' homes, working in group homes. I've worked in schools as well. Since 1984, I've worked in schools. And over these 30 some odd years, I've seen the emphasis on mental health drop. And what is mental health anyway? I'll just talk about this a little bit and then I'll move on. But it's an important point, because when I went to college and trained to become an occupational therapist, I had to work as a student for 3 months in a physical disability-oriented institution and 3 months in a psychiatric institution. But over these 30 some odd years, that emphasis has really dropped. Matter of fact, one of my dearest friends, Dr. Brenda Taubman, just retired from Midwestern University. She and I worked together, taught at Apollo College back in the 90s. And she talked about how difficult it was to get field work for occupational therapy students back then in the psychiatric arena. And that was 25 years ago. So we've really dropped with that. And I was just working with a family this last year or year or so ago. And, teenagers are having problems, and the sheriffs are bringing the kid home. The crisis intervention is limited and is now kind of being expected of our police officers, however much training or not they have. So what I want to do is, without belaboring the point about mental health much longer, I feel like there are some things that I can bring to the table that I have developed over 35 years of work experience, my own personal journey. There are things that I can offer. And what I have discovered in the course of 2020 is certainly the online support has been tremendous. And there are some unique skills I have. Like I have worked with people who are developmentally disabled who aren't able to move or talk. That's some of the people that I've worked with. There's some unique skills that I have that I would like to offer. I'm sure there's families out there who are really struggling, especially, without, again, belaboring the point, of being stuck at home. And, what do you do with your children? What do you do with your children who have developmental disabilities or autism or behavioral issues or sensory integrative issues? Now, I don't know if the stress of school, online school, has increased for kids or decreased. I'm sure these kids in 30, 40 years, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be doing online, because their education is based now on this virtual online. Be that as it may, if there are sensory integrative or sensory processing issues going on, it's probably going to interfere with their ability to maintain themselves in a virtual learning environment or in school or whatever. So there are things that I can offer support for kind of a unique population. My trick is connecting in with the people that could benefit from my services. So part of the reason why I'm doing these videos is to offer support, but also to try to find the right connections. So if you guys can help me, I'd appreciate that. And I'll cover, in the course of this video today, I'm talking about my history right now, but I want to talk with you about what I've been doing, what I intend to do, and I want to go online and show you like my Facebook, YouTube pages, so that you can use this video as a reference for what I'm wanting to do and what I'm intending to do. First off, this is going to be backwards, isn't it? So part of this is learning about technology. It's not going to work, is it? Well, so probably the good segue. Because I feel like the online teaching and therapy is going to be here with us. I have now connected with somebody. We're just barely starting, but he's going to help me with some advertising, with some promotion, with the online streaming, because part of what I want to do, a big part of what I want to do, are events. I'm going to show you, when they talk about promotion, it's like focus on one thing. It's like, well, I got more than one thing. And if I am to put it in a nutshell, which I am, really what I'm looking at doing is putting together an online educational platform, so that it's me, but more than just me. So part of the idea is to connect in with the people that could benefit from my services, but also reach out. I know there's people out there who have some things to offer to other people, and that perhaps this could be a forum. I have connected in with somebody who has agreed to start working with me with music therapy, especially for those with autism and some developmental disabilities. That could be really helpful to bring in a musical piece. He is a teacher, a music teacher. He's not a music therapist. But working together online or in the clinic is an example of what I'd like to help bring to the table to make things more thorough. I'm going to try to do this. Let's see if I not lose you. Oh, my husband's drum kit. Bear with me. Yeah, I did it! That goes to one of my clients. That was one of his favorite lines, is, I did it! So this is my business card. Carol Ansberry out of Reno, Nevada. She did my logo. Thank you. Big shout out to her. I actually babysat for her when I was a kid. So this is my current information. I finally did drop the fax machine. But the tagline for my business is offering strategies to reach wholeness. So that's part of why I feel like I can open up to other practitioners. I have spoken with a speech therapist. I have a physical therapist in mind. But I'm kind of at that critical point now of I need more business to be able to bring more business in. So, and to make those connections. So please help put the word out. Certainly, I would like to work with families. That's my background. Certainly with individuals, but more with the family as a whole, with the child and their siblings, group homes, schools, Zoom presentations. It's interesting since I have started. Somewhere, somehow, somebody heard about what I was doing and on the spur of the moment contacted me, and in 15 minutes we pulled it together and we did a Zoom presentation and got paid the next day. So those kinds of things. And I'm going to talk more specifically about the services. Back in the 90s, I taught for a couple of years, and I remember getting together with some friends the night before I was to start my job, and I talked. So kind of teaching is probably a good thing for me to do. I'm feeling pulled to do this. With my background, I feel like I have an obligation. I have a duty. I mean, I'll start to cry. We have some serious mental health issues. When I worked at St. Luke's Behavioral Health Center many years ago, 25 years ago, if somebody threatened to kill somebody else, in my understanding, that was criteria for admission into a psychiatric hospital. So we are really off and running in what we are accepting. One of the reasons why I feel like I was so successful, a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons why I feel like I was so successful working in a psychiatric facility is because I understood about structure. And certainly with behavior, structure is one of the key things. We need to have structure. And I feel like kids who act out a lot of the times are testing where are the boundaries. And it's the parent, the authority figure, to come in and let the child know this is the boundary. I mean, that's what laws are for. And we're now in a time like the purge. I know I'm kind of venting. I'm still kind of coming off this election stuff. But, you know, the purge, that anarchy, you know, I mean, that's kind of where that movie, it's kind of where we're headed. And I believe that our president is helping to teach us, show us what is acceptable and what's not. Because we have gone out of control for a long time. I mean, I'm bringing this up because it's so psychiatric. I see the same kinds of things I would have seen in a psychiatric hospital. With not just, I mean, we have the CDC saying wear masks, and then our president, the leader, is saying don't. Go out and participate in rallies. I live in Arizona. Our rates are really high right now. It's crazy making. I could go on, and I'm sorry. Let me segue into where I want to go, kind of steer through this absolute frustration that I know I have and a lot of other people have. One of the things that I've done for my own healing is certainly have reached out for other people. I know there are people that are supporting me right now while I am doing this. I'm unable to do it alone. We need to work together and help one another. And so that's what I'm trying to discuss and offer to you guys. And let me move on and let you know how I'm trying to do that. A little more on my background. I referenced you to LinkedIn, so let me do that. So if you want, like, you know, we used to do resumes years ago. Now we have LinkedIn and YouTube and things like that. I got to situate. Logistics is typically the hardest part for me. So you can go onto LinkedIn, and there's my background. Just kind of in a nutshell on this, I went to Utica College of Syracuse University, and I graduated in 1983 with a bachelor's degree in occupational therapy. I subsequently became a nationally registered occupational therapist and have been since then. Oh, in the early 90s, the state of Arizona instituted licensure. So I have been licensed since then. Now, granted, I did move to New York for several years. I mean, I was raised in New York. Went to school in New York. And I did my last internship out in Phoenix, Arizona with Lorna Jean King, who is very well known in the field of sensory integration. I did 3 months of internship with her. Dare I add, Diana Henry, who has helped to develop the sensory processing measure, was my supervisor for part of that time. She was not there for the full time because she was just getting her master's in sensory integration. So as a student, and really my first job, was very strong in the sensory integrative field. Since that time, there's been some split in that arena. And I'm unsure where that division has gone. I tend to stay away from the term. I actually do stay away from the term sensory integration because as far as I'm concerned, it's a trademark name. And you need to go through a lot of training and all. But with my strong background, I do use sensory processing as my term, or sensory motor as my main term, because it's a much more inclusive term. Sensory integration is more specific to some of the evaluations that are being used. And with my background going into more the psychiatric arena, it kind of diverged there as well. Excuse me. When I did work at St. Luke's Behavioral Health Center, we had a wonderful sensory integrative room. This is back in 1984. So, 35 years of integrating sensory, motor, sensory processing issues, and how much that impacts behavior is amazing. So many of those kids that were admitted into the psychiatric hospital had sensory motor issues, had sensory integrative issues. We were using, this was even before the sensory integrative praxis test. It was the SCSIT test. Let's see if I can roll this off my tongue. The Southern California Sensory Integrative Test. So I actually have administered that many, many times, written up many reports using that battery of tests. I have also used, the MAP, the Miller Assessment for Preschoolers. But that was back in the 90s. I've kind of fallen away a bit from what the most current assessment tools are these days for sensory integration, so I would have to refer you out. But there's so much we can do with sensory motor perspective and activities. So I've digressed a little bit about my background. You can look here. You can see the badges and other background. I have taught in the mid 90s. I taught at Apollo College, and then I was an instructor for almost a year at the A.T. Still University. It was actually the Arizona School of Health Sciences at the time, and that was at a master's level graduate school program. So I have had teaching experience. But I will say I really do like the direct work the best. In this background right here, I have what my current services, the focus is. I apologize. I've got this thing about wanting the trees. And I have a high ceiling. It's a beautiful day. And that sun is just coming in right there. Thank goodness for the sun. Situating. So I wrote on there the current services, but what I'd like to do is I'm going to switch over, show you my Facebook area. These are the different pages that I manage on Facebook. Now, I do have a website, It's the first time in all my years of work I've needed a website. It's a very basic website. I'm wondering how much I really am going to need a website, because what I've been doing is using Facebook. See, there's some pictures. I do have a clinic. It's in Flagstaff. I opened it January 16th of 2020. Clearly, I've done a little work out of there because of the nature of the social distancing. So I've really had to go more online. And so that's why I've emphasized the Facebook. And I'll go through some of these in more depth. The sensory solutions, that's the @SSIFB page, and I will show you that one. That's my main page that I would refer people to. But if you wanted to get into more specifics, I'm going to jump around here a little bit. The sensory therapy activity sessions. I'm running these groups. Right now I've got groups at 2:30 on Wednesdays. It's coming up. And it's similar, the structure is similar to how my live demos are going, but it's activity oriented. Where like we do like at each session, it's like the beginning of the session, it's just an introductions, orientation, what would you like to focus on? Then we do an activity, and then we do like a quiet time at the end. My focus for that is to really target in, say, 3, 4, 5 or so families, depending on the group composition. Some of you may have heard the phrase sensory diets. With my background with sensory integration and sensory processing, certainly I can put together a sensory diet for you that you can utilize. And that can be part of these sensory therapy sessions. Things are still so new. I'm going to see how this evolves, but that's really what I'm looking at. To participate in those, you really do need to have an intake, and I'm making that a more reasonably priced service that's different than a full occupational therapy evaluation. That's much more costly, although that kind of an evaluation could work for, say, like a school district eval. But, I'm competing price-wise with insurance companies. But I need to still make them affordable for people. I mean, I've made very little money this year. I've benefited from free services. It's only fair. It's a way that I can give back. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing the live demos. And just to interject, today I'm kind of like finishing up this overview and this background, and what I'd like to do henceforth with my live demos is making it more topical, like I was starting to do at the beginning, and doing more of an activity so that in my live demos, people can actually participate with me. And that's a more free online, available for whomever wants to pop on. But the sensory therapy activity sessions are much more targeted for groups in a much more affordable way, where your more individualized needs can be met in a group basis, and you can learn from one another and gain support from one another. So that's really the sensory therapy activity sessions, what I'm really trying to do. And some of the different videos talk about like proprioception or vestibular or self-regulation. I would refer you to those videos with regards to if you want to learn more about the sensory therapy activity sessions. I also did a video about range of motion. On Thursdays at 1 o'clock online, I do a range of motion clinic. And I've wanted to keep that available so that the idea is really certainly for people who have issues to work on their flexibility, but to also work with their caregivers. I don't know how well this is really going to work, but, I used to work, like I said earlier, with people with developmental disabilities, people who live in group homes and who have caregivers who to help take care of them. They, without movement, with all of us, our typical person can go and move and exercise and they get the range of motion that way. But people who have some disabilities are limited and they may need some assistance. So I have spent many, many years training practitioners about range of motion, many years ranging clients. And so I want to keep this available for people so that people have an option on learning about range of motion. I'm trying to keep it affordable and spread the word, please. For not just group homes, but nursing homes, elder care homes, institutions. We can do these kinds of things online. I just need to know who's interested. So if you could spread the word, I would greatly appreciate that. So that's the range of motion clinic. The SSI links, that's, I just like to put articles that I find of interest. And I've just separated out that page. So you can just scroll through SSI links. See things that I find are interesting. And I do try to keep that pretty neutral and health-oriented, rather than political-oriented or whatever. The fun with slot cars and model trains, the last couple of videos I did 3, had a lot of fun with that, because it was really helpful to illustrate a key concept in occupational therapy, and that's performance components. That slot cars and model trains it's a hobby for anybody. It offers so many different kinds of opportunities for health and healing that as an occupational therapist, what is an occupational therapist? How long have I been on this now? And I've never even said what an occupational therapist is. An occupational therapist, we use occupation, we use activities. Thusly why we're working with our hands so often. Which is different than a physical therapist. A physical therapist tends to work more with exercise and doing rote exercise to remediate or improve some kind of physical dysfunction. But occupational therapists, because occupation incorporates more than just the physicality. Occupation incorporates cognitive thinking concepts. It can incorporate socialization and emotionality, where we have to self-regulate. There's a lot more involved, I feel, in the field of occupational therapy in that regard, as opposed to physical therapy. Physical therapy is more physical-oriented. So, as an occupational therapist, basically what we do is we evaluate. We find out first of all, there needs to be some kind of an issue, a reason for the referral in the first place, some kind of accident, injury, disability, birth, trauma. And so then I would receive a referral and then I would do an evaluation. From that evaluation, I would look at the performance components, and if there's enough issues that I felt like I could be of help, then I would put together a treatment plan like other practitioners. Dentists have treatment plans. And I would come up with activities. And to me, the art of therapy is how many different performance components we can address in one activity. And the beauty with playing with slot cars and model trains is that it can incorporate a lot of different performance components. Is it for everybody? Absolutely not. Is it for a lot of people? Yes. What are slot cars? Well, I'll refer you to Facebook. I have this page. There's other pages with slot cars and model trains. Slot cars is a hobby that came out around the time I was growing up, and I was in the 60s. And my husband enjoyed that hobby. And one day I said to him, you might want to look at eBay.
And sure enough, he's been off and running ever since. There's a lot, as you can see in these other videos, that there's lots of options with the slot cars. I'm jumping ahead. I have a video on my YouTube page that integrates the slot cars and the model trains. It's a very basic layout, but it incorporates both. Anywhere from the fine motor skills involved to the planning and organization of putting down a track, to racing and modulation, even to the cultural piece about knowing the different types of cars, let alone car repair. There's a lot of different kinds of things. So my original intent was in January, when I had the clinic, in January and February, I had made opportunities available for people to come more as like a community service, either to come like with their families or say father-son, like with my husband. You know, he did this with his father. But obviously with social distancing, that's become less viable right now. So we are making it available. We have different track layouts. We can also do custom layouts to rent this hobby out, the materials that we have, to rent this out to you all, like for the holidays. Show you, whoops. Here's our Christmas tree. Ta-da. And under the Christmas tree is the train and the slot cars. So we can bring that to you because I do believe it's such a healthy hobby. That's why I feel like I can promote that as part of, my business, and to make that available, especially, over the holidays and with people needing some new things to do. I'm sure people are kind of bored. So there's like kind of three main areas I'm really focusing on: the slot cars, the sensory sessions, and the range of motion. On this page, I'm going to put another plug-in because this really is an area that I'm focusing on as well. My husband is in a band. Can you tell by the drum kit? Just right there in my face. I think these guys are great. The three guys, whoops. The three guys. I refer you to Facebook and YouTube, the Vanderveer Breaks. Thank you, Spencer and Eric. They are working on original songs. They were just starting to look at going out on tour at the beginning of this year. And then the whole social distancing has happened. And do I need to say much more about the whole music issue? So check them out. You might really like them. If you do, please like and share. And let's see when we can start getting back out. Let's get these guys out there. I'll take it a step further. They have been talking about Spotify and getting some things out on Spotify. But, let's see where things go. But if you would, check them out. They've been very powerful in my life, their music. And I truly believe that they will make a difference out in the musical world once they have an opportunity to be able to do so. So that's enough on that. Let me show you a couple other things. There's my web page. Here's my YouTube page. And this, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this. This is very new. I've only just added these two videos. These are just videos I've looked at. I will continue to add more videos on here. I'm going to take a couple moments to talk about this, though, because what I have discovered in the course of this year, and quite frankly want to jump on, are, again, like I was alluding to, how people are doing freebies online. to make different services available. And some people are having subscriptions and donations on their live YouTube pages. I would really like to do that. So there's just one little dilemma. Apparently, this is why people say like and share, like and share. You need a lot of subscribers before you can really get on and do live videos and actually get donations for them. But I encourage you, please, if you would, start liking and sharing my YouTube page. It's SSI Tube, Sensory Integration, Sensory Solutions Inc. It is SSI Tube. You can see my logo up here, up there. Because I think that is a great way to be able to make services available. And to be able to bring on someone to help me with the live streaming will make this more fluid. And the idea is to help make it more affordable for people, and yet so that I can feel like I'm making some money as well. It just seems like that's where we need to go. So this one video is that video I alluded to about the slot cars and model trains. And then this other video is one that I put together back in April at my clinic. And that's like my overview video. It's not a live video. But you can see the clinic, the different, some of the different equipment, and just an orientation. So that's my YouTube page. Now, one other thing that I wanted to talk about regarding online services is not Zoom. This was back in, like, say, March, when I realized, we're all going to be home for a while. I jumped on the TheraHealth train and have, how do I want to say? I have this connection with an encrypted, secure, online program that is specific for therapists, that is got billing, it's got scheduling, it's got forms, it's got a way to share. Well, let me backtrack. When you come on board with me and we work on a more personal level, I will ask you to join the Thera Platform program. I need your email for that. And with that one email, you can see my email. You would get a screen that would look like this. Actually, I think that would be blank, the password. You set up a password, you log in, and then you will have a screen that will look like this. So you can check out some different things. Obviously, update credit card, and that's real easy. You go in and you just put your credit card information in there, and it's secure, and it's encrypted, and it works, and I get paid, and it's great. It seems like, I say younger parents. I mean, for me, a younger parent is 30 anymore. How do I want to say this? I'm almost 60, so I'm in an older generation. Younger generation, people can do this really easily. This is kind of the way we're going about things these days. So it's really easy. You can, like I said, you can do scheduling. You'll see invoices there. There may be shared resources. If I do an evaluation and there is a score sheet or a typed up report, I may put that in attachments. If you have a scheduled appointment or you're going to join a group, you can instantly join. But there's also, you'll get reminder emails. There's also help videos. If you've noticed on some of these Facebook pages anymore, you'll notice privacy policies. So certainly my business, Sensory Solutions Inc., has a, oh gosh, that's not going to roll off my tongue right now, the HIPAA privacy policy about keeping your information private when you work with me. And so this is kind of like what the form looks like. And this newfandangled way of doing things is you basically use your cursor, like I would write my initials, to sign, agree, and continue. These are the different forms. I just wanted to show you. So I do have several different kinds of forms. And I think that's kind of it that I wanted to cover. Okay, I'm going to switch. Ta-da! Blue sky, yay! So I think just to kind of like summarize the services that I am available to provide as an occupational therapist. There we go. I'll leave it like that. So, let's see if I can do this without being too much in the sun. As a registered and licensed occupational therapist, which is different than a certified occupational therapy assistant, a COTA, a COTA, can implement treatment, but as a registered as a registered occupational therapist, I can evaluate, and I would develop the treatment plan that a COTA would then implement. So what I am offering, mostly telehealth, on an individualized basis in the clinic because of the safety issues right now. I can do individual and group services. I can do individual evaluations. I mentioned earlier I could do an individual sensory intake. It's a bit of a shorter, condensed intake that helps put together a sensory diet that can then make you available to join in on our online sensory therapy groups. I really need to evaluate first and have a sense of who you are before I can really make recommendations. I may do other online demos that are less formal. And that's really what I want to do with my live demos, my parent Q&A kind of a thing. So I'll do the live demos. I've got the sensory groups online. I've got the range of motion clinic or clinics online. The slot cars, model trains. Right now, we're renting them out. We would come into your home, my husband and I, safe, secure. It would be some installation, like to work with just like one contact person. Make sure you know how to use the equipment safely. And you guys can keep it for a couple hours, day, week, however you want to do that. I mentioned the Vanderveer brakes, looking at getting these guys out when we can. I want to do more groups because that's going to be more affordable and meet a lot more needs, I think, because especially with the virtual learning, there's something about the need for the socialization as well. So we're kind of making this up as we go. And when we can start working in the clinic again, we can do that. But I think the telehealth is going to be an online YouTube kinds of things, is kind of where we're at, and even for the music. So I really want to encourage you all, please, send me topics you're interested in. Otherwise, I'll just make it up and I'll just talk. You can PM me. Email me, call me. My cell is area code 631-848-8852. I am licensed to provide occupational therapy evaluation and treatment in the state of Arizona. Outside the boundary of the state of Arizona, I can do education and I can do teaching. I can do consultation. They are looking at broadening that licensure stipulation. I'm unsure when that's going to happen yet. So I really am enjoying this, and it seems like you guys are watching these videos, so I'm assuming you're enjoying them too, and you're getting something out of that. My intent is for every single video is to present something new and to actually do something active, because this is a way I can help support. This is a way that I can tap into my skills and abilities, my talents, my expertise. It's a way I can receive some support by sharing that with you all, but that you all can receive some kind of, how do I want to say, that you can get something out of this video as well, without going to a therapy session, if only for connection. And for me, that's it. That's everything, is connection. So I think that's about it. I've talked to, my therapy sessions usually run about 45 minutes, and that's about how long these demos have been. It's just kind of a natural evolution. So, Paul, I love you. I love you all. And we're going to get through this time, but it's challenging. And I think we all need to step up. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, I feel like this is really almost like a duty. Take good care. Let me know how I can be of help and assistance. Bye.